of breast cancer. Has the world finally lost it, or is this only the beginning? We'll find out in this episode. From Biden's gaffes to birth control causing an increased risk. The Demetrius Rujo Show. I'm your host, Demetrius Rujo. Without further ado, let's begin.
Facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting like a roast, like a gas, think I'm all last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
Lately, transgenderism has been on everyone's mind, not because we want to be thinking about this, but because it has been forced down our throat more lately. But this made me begin to think, how and when did this start? The idea of transgenderism happened from a researcher that was molesting two twin brothers. He forced them to comply with his tests and wrote it all down in his notebook, which he shared to his doctor friends. Some of these tests conducted on the twins consisted of forcing them to have sex with each other, which resulted in the twins offing themselves later in life. If you want to know the full story, I can link down my video. I dig deep on this issue. But more broadly, according to Google, 2014 was the biggest year for transgenderism. The searches doubled from the year prior. Not only does Google prove this, but there was also an article from the Rolling Stone stating 11 ways 2014 was the biggest transgenderism. In that being said, just the same as this year, transgenders were pushed into the spotlight so more people can see them and their preposterous ideology. Moreover, after Bruce Jenner announced his transition into woman face, 3 times the amount of people searching actually led to 42,000 children and teens across the United States in 2021 receiving a diagnosis for gender dysphoria, nearly triple the number in 2017. According to the data compiled by Reuters, gender dysphoria is defined as stress caused by a discrepancy between a person's gender and what they think they really are. In other words, people that just reject the reality of the world around them. With this being said, we're going to be digging into the next segment of the Demetrius Rujo Show, and that is the headlines of the week. So, starting off, Trump reportedly attacks DeSantis during a rally in Waco. Former President Donald Trump had a rally in Waco, Texas, on Saturday where he repeatedly attacked Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. A lengthy clip flagged by Meteorite showed the former president's attacks not landing well with the crowd, who grew silent. Quote, compared to how the crowd normally reacts to his bits, the reaction to mocking DeSantis was particularly dead air, the report said. Trump attacked DeSantis, widely praised responses to the pandemic, said that DeSantis was not good on crime, and mocked him with nicknames. As an analysis from Fox News this week found that Trump's attacks on DeSantis 4 times more than he attacks President Joe Biden. Quote, when a man comes up to me with his tears, he had almost nothing in the polls, Trump claimed, one referencing DeSantis' 2018 gubernatorial run. Quote, he's at nothing. He's got no cash. Quote, and I said, I can't give an endorsement. There's no way you can when you're dead, Trump claimed. I said, give it a shot, Ron. I endorse him. He became like a rocket ship. Within one day, the race was over. Trump's guests also attacked DeSantis at the rally, including Rep. Matt Gaetz and Mike Lindell, of course. Lindell called DeSantis Trojan horse Ron DeSantis, and then said that the best thing that he can do is endorse Donald Trump tomorrow morning. Trump's attorney, Christina Bobb, also attacked DeSantis and was saying that he wants to try to enter the race, out as a bloodied pulp. Thousands attended the rally, where Trump also took aim at Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's jury investigation of the former president's alleged $130,000 hush money payment to porn actor Daniels during the 2016 presidential election. Quote, the district attorney of New York, under the auspices and direction of the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C., is investigating me for something that is not a crime, nor a misdemeanor, not an affair, Trump claimed. This is really prosecutorial prosecutorial conduct. That's what it's called. The ignorance of people make no difference ever to these radical left maniacs, Trump said. The thugs and criminals corrupting our justice system will be defeated, discredited, and totally disgraced. The president claimed indicted on Tuesday of this week, which did not happen, though indictment could be forthcoming. Bragg said this that Trump has created a false expectation that he could be arrested. Jeopardy and 3 other criminal investigations into federal investigation into his efforts to stay in power after the 2020 election, an investigation into Georgia in his efforts to stay in power after the election, and a federal investigation into his handling of the United States government records after he left the White House. So, yeah, the thing is that it's not, as you can tell by the crowd, it's not popular to attack Ron DeSantis, especially when Trump was attacking other governors for opening their states for Ron DeSantis. So who is Trump to say? And also, Trump put Fauci in charge. Trump's the one that did that, and Trump allowed Fauci to charge during COVID. So how are you going to tell us or other people when you didn't govern yourself? You didn't govern yourself very good. You didn't govern the country. So I don't want to hear it, frankly, from you. I don't want to hear it at all. I just don't know why Trump thinks that this is his race to win. Like, it's not just the election. It's not just given to you, just given to Kevin McCarthy. You need to win. That's the point. Moving on to the next article from the Daily Wire, Biden said, I applaud Canada. So how does he, because he actually does applaud Canada. Pegging Dr. Fauci, you needed the West. Joe Biden spent the last couple of days visiting his oil comrade and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau Friday afternoon. The leader of the free world went to thank his host country for to accept 150,000 individuals from Latin America. Only it didn't come out the way he planned. And as a Freudian slip goes, it was a big one. Today, I applaud China for stepping. Biden said, or Parliament, I applaud China. Unfortunately, the error caused his audience to laugh in his face. So let's listen to this gaffe live, because I am excited to listen to this.
So today, I applaud China for stepping up. I applaud Canada. You can tell me.
Does it actually happen that you're thinking? Because how is that, like, how does that happen? Confuse the two. Considering that Biden's family's mysterious connections to the Chinese Communist Party and this administration's feckless diplomacy toward the country, White House climate Caesar John Kerry's dodged determination to make China his bestie, it is easy to see how and why Biden would want to thank China for whatever it was. Trudeau, he doesn't have much ground to stand on when it comes to standing up to China. I remember the last fail, essentially dog walked the Canadian leader at the G20 summit. In that one video, Trudeau could be seen sheepishly standing there as a stone-faced Xi dressed him down for the conversation leaking to the press. Quote, everything we discussed has leaked to the papers and it's not appropriate, he said, according to the translator. Trudeau responded, in Canada, we believe in frank dialogue, and that is what we will continue to have. Quote, we will look into continue constructively together, but things we disagree on, and you have to, he added before she cut him off and didn't let him finish his thought. The more text the exchange doesn't do justice, and it be seen to be believed. Okay, so let's watch this then.
Everything we discussed is leaked to the paper. That's not. It's not how the way the conversation was conducted. If there is sincerity on your part,
free and open and frank dialogue, and that is what we will continue to have. We will continue to look to construct together, but there will be.
Let's create the conditions first.
And he just walks away. Yeah, we all knew that Justin Trudeau was a weak person. I mean, we don't need to. I just like seeing the video. But we didn't to see that. We are Trudeau is a very weak leader, has provided the verbal miscue in a long line of public displays to have the whole world laughing. First, it was the Saudis, then the Australians, and worse than this. The views expressed in this piece. Okay, so I completely agree. I mean, Joe Biden is going to go around applauding China, and our world is just going to follow a piece. But that being said, we're going to get into the first article. We actually have House Committee Chairman double down on Manhattan DA's oversight efforts. The chairman of three sent a letter Saturday to the Manhattan attorney leading the probe into doubling down on their efforts to intervene in the investigation ahead of a criminal charges again. Okay, so of course CNN is already framing this in a way that you have to say allegedly. I mean, CNN, do you want to get sued, first of all? And second of all, like we were, the hush money that Trump sent Stormy Daniels was barely meaner. And if this did really happen in 2016, this was so long ago. You know how long ago it was? It was years ago. No, more than that. 7 years ago. 2016 compared to 2023. That's a lot. That's a lot right now. 6-7 years ago. So whatever time you had to prosecute the case has expired. You have no leeway. The letter from the chairman of the House Judiciary Oversight and Administration goes to Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg back on the case against appearing for a transcribed panels and argued that they need to feel compelled to consider whether Congress should take legislative action on 3 separate issues to protect former and or current presidents from politically motivated prosecutions by state and local offices. The letter, written by Republicans Jim Jordan, James Comer, and Brian Stell, comes after they initially called on Bragg earlier this week to testify before their committees and criticized his investigation into Trump as an unprecedented abuse of authority. Bragg is investigating Trump's role in a scheme to pay adult film star Stormy Daniels before the 2016 presidential election to keep silent about an alleged affair with Trump a decade earlier. Trump has denied having an affair with Daniels. Bragg's general counsel has initially responded on Thursday, telling the House committee leaders that they lacked a legitimate basis for congressional inquiry. Their request for information, quote, only came after Trump created a false expectation that he will be arrested the next day, and his lawyers reportedly urged you to intervene. The chairman claimed in Saturday's letter that Bragg did not dispute the, quote, central at issue, that his office is under political pressure from left-wing activists and former prosecutors, and, quote, planning to use an alleged federal campaign finance violation previously denied by the federal prosecutions as a vehicle to extend the statute of limitation on an otherwise misdemeanor and indict for the first time in history a former president of the United States. They argued that the potential incitement of a president and 2024 presidential candidate, quote, implies substantial federal interest, particularly in a jurisdiction where trial-level judges are popularly elected. Comer, in an interview with the tax dollars to spend on this, quote, we believe tax dollars should be spent for this. We believe political stunt by Mr. Bragg, Comer said. Bragg responded to the chairman's letter Saturday evening on Twitter, writing, quote, we evaluate in our justification based on the evidence. It is not for Congress to interfere pending legal investigations. Unprecedented inquiry by federal election officials into an ongoing matter serves only one hinder, distract and undermine the legitimate work of our dedicated prosecutors. As always, we will continue the facts and be guided by the rule of law in everything we do. Okay, so if you were guided by the law in everything you do, why would you not pay attention to the statute of limitations that you have in New York? Why would you not prosecute all of the people that are causing crime in the state? Why would you not pay attention to all the rampant crime, not only in your state, but more broadly or more specifically in New York City? New York City has exponentially increased in their crime rate. But what are you doing? You're investigating the former president for paying off a porn actress. It does not matter. If this really did happen, if this really did happen, what is this going to change? What is this going to change if this was true? You just spent money, you just spent time, you just outed the rule of law in the United States, i.e. statute of limitation. You just outed that. You push that aside so you can do what? What is the outcome that you would like? For Trump to be hush money to an actress, that does not align with each other. You cannot use that in the same sentence. It says in our Constitution that you can run for president if you are above the age of 35. If you are above the age of 35, no matter what, you can run for president. There's people in prison that is running for president. Okay? Joey in prison from Tiger King is running for president in 2024. He is in prison. So all agree that what Trump did was less than Joe Exotic. Joe Exotic is still running for president. You can run for president. Now, Trump will not go to prison because this is above the statute of limitation. And not only that, but also, what law is there in New York that you cannot pay off somebody? In New York, sex happens all the time. In every single state, sex happens all the time. So what does this have to do with anything? No, because you just want to see cuffs in the back of a cop car crying and sucking on a lollipop. That's all you want the picture of. That's all you crazy leftist people want to see. That's all you want to see. That's it. Nothing else. There's no motive except for that. Moving into the next article from CNN, beware deepfake reality as Trump dominates headlines. CNN, after earlier and incorrectly predicting his own arrest this week, former President Donald Trump veered into the sinister business of predicting violence and catastrophe. If whether the prediction turns into a reality is another thing entirely. Trump's remembrance to the headlines as both a third-time presidential candidate and a potential defendant is threatening to pull the country back into this reality. Trump not formally charged with any crime and denies all wrongdoing. Real world versus Trump's world. Okay, so CNN, I can see where you're going with this. It's kind of the same thing as saying good Trump, bad Trump. So Trump says some things, it's not really that good. Trump says other things, they're really, really good. So it's like you never know what you're going to bad Trump. Compared the reality where people interact mostly in peace and go about their life with fake world available on social media. In the real world, Trump hasn't been charged with anything. On Twitter, fake photos of his arrest generated by artificial intelligence has been viewed millions of times. Okay, so don't act like you don't like seeing that. Don't act like you did not go and search that into the search bar of Twitter. Okay, come on now. Be honest with yourself. In the real world, prosecutors have a form of method. In the real world, prosecutors have a form of criminal case before they indict a defendant. On social media, Trump says everything is part of a plot against him. Posting an idea of a violent the echo chamber of his Truth Social platform earlier Friday, Trump said it is known that potential death would be catastrophic for our country, would result if a charge is brought him. In a post Thursday, Trump went into all caps, the tyrannical equivalent of screaming, to declare his innocence and add, quote, "Our country is being destroyed as they tell us to be peaceful." The veiled place a new form of pressure on the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin, who has already been threatened by Republicans in Congress with an investigation without naming Bragg. In the post, Trump said anyone who would charge him is a degenerate path that truly hates the United States. CNN's Bryn Ganges and Kara Scandal reported Friday that Bragg's office received a package containing a white powder substance and a threatening note. added that while authorities determined that there is substance, the package capped off a week where law enforcement has seen continual threats against the court, including bomb threats, and all of turned out to be. Meanwhile, rather than condemn Trump's latest, top Republicans in Washington, like House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, refused to answer questions about it. Deepfake arrest photos. The photos of Trump being arrested were created by Ella Higgins, founder of the investigative journalist group Bellingcat, who asked an AI art generator to make a photo of Donald Trump falling down while being arrested. According to, I was just mucking about. I thought maybe 5 people would retweet it. Not during this time, my guy. Bellingcat ironically used social media posts and other digital data to prove facts, uncover crimes, and investigative outright autocrats. CNN worked with Bellingcat, for instance, to uncover the Russian operatives who apparently tried to poison the now-jailed descendant leader, Alexei Navalny. The guys also used social media to track down apparent war crimes in Ukraine. The deepfake photos, while requiring a double take, were clearly not real, but it is the first impression that can be misleading, lasting. Of prosecution, a physical manifestation of a drama he puts into his post. Okay, so, but that's all the left wants to see. That's what I just said. The left just wants to see, pray to God every single day that all they got to see in their miserable life, arrested in back of a cop car sucking a lollipop. They would like nothing more but to see this. CNN is acting like they don't want to see this. No, I don't want to see this. And it's getting hard to any people can deny. Annie Farad, a professor at the University of California, Berkeley School of Information, told O'Sullivan, there are many examples of deepfake photos and videos and people then certainly causing them, such as one whose face is faked without their consent onto porn. When something is repeated enough online, or when a fake narrative takes hold, it can influence the real world. That's certainly what happened on January 6, 2021, when conspiracy theories. Okay, so now CNN's going to get into their conspiracies. How about Russiagate? Where did Russiagate go to? CNN, MSNBC, NPR. On the left wing, where did Russiagate go? How did the meddling in the 2016 election go? You guys like to claim that the right make up stuff. Left likes to make up stuff. Okay, moving on to the next article, we have an MSNBC article. We actually have the simple reason DeSantis is struggling so badly against Trump. The Florida governor's honeymoon is over, partly because he and the Republican establishment killed their best argument against Trump. Ron DeSantis' honeymoon is over. After his re-election in November, Florida governor, a Republican governor, Ron DeSantis' honeymoon is over. After his re-election in November, Florida's cemented himself as the Republican establishment's great non-Trump hope. But even before he formed the presidential race, DeSantis has disappeared. Monmouth University Republic shows a 15-point gain for President Trump since the newsroom that and allies his recent stuff just. How has DeSantis trip so spectacularly? As usual, when it comes to the Republican politics, the answer is Trump and DeSantis and the G establishment have once again played themselves. When DeSantis started rising, Trump wasted no time hurling attacks at his. He road-tested numerous nicknames, settling on Ron DeSantimonious. He claimed, without proof, of course, that DeSantis had groomed high school students, and he even made by standards an almost substantive case against DeSantis' actual record. It's poorly written and has Trump usual weird capitalization issues, as MSNBC columnist Michael A. Cohen tweeted. It is a pretty compelling argument against the presidential race. It also has Trump's typical spin. Of course, the president running for re-election got more votes in Florida than a governor running in a non-presidential election year, but the inaccuracies and distortion only slight and weaken the only slightly weakened their that DeSantis' views and actions are a marriage is accurate. Like Derek Zoolander, DeSantis one look. If he Democrat or media still man on light on fire when he plays the angry fighter, but that away. And he twists the wind, waiting for Republican voters to tell him what they want. DeSantis looks like a Bush Republican as much as or more than he does as a Trump one. Writes the New York Times Jamal Boy, a diagnosis that reveals less about DeSantis' established lean than it does eligible root nonsense. On the war in Ukraine echoes similar shifts on pandemic restrictions, entitlements, and vaccines, to just name a few. Such vaccinating is largely a problem for the general election. Mitt Romney in 2012, John Kerry in 2004, two recent nominees who struggle to overcome past flip-flops. But for the GOP primary, DeSantis' indecision creates a different problem. Like many other Trump foes, he can't settle on how to respond to Trump acts. Once, he tried to ignore Trump. Then he briefly tried to needle the president over his hush. Not only in the last couple of days has DeSantis returned to citing his re-election, as he did last year when his poll numbers were at their best. The only way to beat is to choose attacks early, fill them up to 11 and stick with them. In 2020, Joe Biden didn't hold back on the former president's racism, incompetence, and corruption. The no-holds-barred approach that doesn't always work. Ask Hillary Clinton. Far better his Republican foes used in 2016, but because DeSantis deeply depends so heavily on the GOP base, telling him what it wants puts himself at a disadvantage in trying to take on a candidate whom they still like. Okay, that's true. So, the thing is that what DeSantis can do is just ignore Trump. Ignore Trump as much as you can, which DeSantis is trying to do, but more recently he's responding to him. I wouldn't. Just ignore him until the end. Until a month before the election, respond to him and say, no, this is this, boom, 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 and respond to all of his points at one time. And it's going to respond to you, and then he's just going to look stupid because he's been fighting you this whole entire time. You have not been responding, and he has nobody in the race to make it exciting. Then, boom, oh, that'll be good. That'll be real satisfying. Moving on to the next article of the NPR, Mississippi and Alabama face a painful recovery after storms and a tornado killed 26. Damn. If you are a part of this, I am so you. There are a lot of organizations that, if you're not affected, there's a lot of organizations that help people in this. They go and they help these people that are desperately in need. It's very, very sad. Very sad. So you remained littered with debris and rubber after a powerful tornado plowed through the state last Friday night, leaving a trail in his path. Homes ripped from their foundations, vehicles tossed through the air, and at 25 people killed as a result of severe weather, including a powerful EF4 tornado. Helen died in a neighboring Alabama. The Mississippi Agency said that dozens of people were injured. Major, a truck driver in Norfolk, said that he jumped out of bed and ran to the corner of the room when he heard the tornado alert. As I was standing in the corner, debris were falling all over. The roof was coming down in the house. And wow, that's President Biden approved a federal disaster declaration for Mississippi, which frees up federal funding for the affected counties. Crews with the Federal Management Agency, or FEMA, had already been dispatched to Mississippi to assist state and local emergency responders. It's just crazy. Photos. Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas traveled to Mississippi on Sunday to meet with Governor Tate officials to assist damage. Emergency workers are also preparing for more severe weather, with thunderstorms, hail, and additional tornadoes in the forecast. On Saturday of emergency, and shared images on social of others helping in the recovery. Incredibly inspired by how Mississippians have come together in this tragic moment, he said. God is good, state is strong. Now, survivors are returning to their homes to look at car keys and medicine Rescuers are shifting rumble to ensure no other survivors are trapped. While others have been racing to restore power, people are just handing out food, bottles of water, and clothing to those in need. The powerful twister that began Friday night around 8 p.m. time, roughly an hour from Jackson, lasted for more than an hour and traversed roughly 170 miles. That's crazy. One of the hardest hit areas, Rolling Fork, predominantly about 2,000 residents, which Reeves described as a ground zero for the storm. The roof of Rolling Fork City Hall was ripped off, and businesses district was badly damaged, and even town's water tower. In the Blue Light community nearby, Kimberly Berry was among the survivors. She managed to get to shelter before the tornado, but her home was ripped away. That's crazy. I mean, I can't get any of this back. I'm not sad. I'm not mad. I'm not going to be depressed, Barry said. I'm not going to be of that because I lost everything, but I had another day above ground. That's it. That's all I can ask for. See, the best way to look at it, because yes, you lost everything. You lost your livelihood. Your house literally went up into the sky, but at least you didn't get killed. That's the bare minimum. Oh, that's graceful. Strong winds and hail were reported across Louisiana, Mississippi, and Georgia on Sunday, with forecasters expecting potential flood into Monday. Alabama and across the state. As we continue to address damage throughout all of Georgia, I will do. See, everybody should, because even though my house got destroyed, even though my whole life got turned upside down, at least I lived another day. That's the most powerful thing you can ever say. Moving on to the next article from NPR. To help new students adapt, some colleges are eliminating grades. Ooh, what the hell? I had to learn finances. I had to learn how to balance my work in school and I'm in. The hardest part about being a new college student, Malik said, it's not the coursework, it's learning how to be an adult. You don't know how to be an adult. I learned how to be an adult in high school. When in my year, I was forced to get a full-time. So what are you talking about? Took a on your grade. Do well, said Malik, who powered through and is now in her sophomore year as a neuroscience and a literature double major at the University of Santa Cruz, or UCSC. It took a while for me to get a sense of self-worth from the grades that I was getting. I consider switching out of my major a handful of times, but that's reality. If you don't get good grades, you're not going to feel good. Just the same as if you do get good grades, you will feel good. That's just how you going to school. For 12 years, 13 years, because you had your freshman year in college too. So you've been going to school at least 13 years, and you don't know how to balance your work life, your school life balance. You don't know how to balance that. You've been going to school for 13 years. What did you learn? If you went to preschool for 2 years, you went to school for 15 years. What are you doing? I just can't. Experiences like these are among the reasons behind a growing movement to stop assigning congressional conventional A through F letter grades in the first-year college students, and sometimes upperclassmen, calling an ungrading to erase the higher education, especially for freshmen who are the first of their families to go to a college, or who weren't well prepared for college level work in high school and need more time to master it. Well, we're dodging the question here. If you're not ready for college level work and you're in college, who do we have to blame? The high school teachers. Now, if you're in LA, right? You're in LA. You said, is this what you said? University of California, Santa Cruz. Okay, Santa Cruz. California more broadly, okay? The teachers in LA are protesting right now. They're saying, oh, we want higher wages. The employees at the school in LA are protesting. They're complaining because they have no money for themselves. Now, if the teachers in LA, get paid so high that they don't have all of the employees in the school, then they need to get a pay cut. 1. Number 2, if you continue to teach the kids well, you get a pay raise. That's number 2. 3, if you do not teach well, all of your kids are failing, that's a description of what your ability is as a teacher. If you fail these kids and you do not have kids being at that they are at, then they have not failed. You have failed. You're the teacher. You need to kids. And if you not teach the kids, then we need to get in there. Because how can you enter college and not be at college level work yet? You need time to master the college work. No. What you need is a better teacher in high school, middle school, and elementary school to get you ready for that college level work. Quote, grades are not a representation of student learning, as it is hard for us to break the mindset that if a student got an A, it means that they learned, said Jody Green, special advisor to the Provost for Educational Equality and Academic Success at UCSC, where several facilities are experimenting with various forms of ungrading. This is not the answer. God, I can't. They got this person that is unqualified for her position. The equality, the equity and inclusion and equality division person. They got that on the case. If a student already knew the material before taking the class and got an A, they didn't learn anything, said Green. And if a student came in and struggled to get a C+, they may have learned a lot. Okay, but you still didn't get an A. Yes, you can have background on a subject. That's why you're taking the class, because it's an easy A for you. But why should the easy A student get shunned down just because he knew about something else, just because he went to a good high school or middle school? And the C+, if you knew and you learned something, that's a good thing. But why didn't you get an A? That's the question we should be asking. So the memo behind ungrading is a response to growing concerns of mental health. The number of college students with one or more mental health problems has doubled since 2013. Don't you think that is a broader problem in America? It's not a diversity problem. It's a problem in America, and that's because of the use of media. Cut off social media, and I can almost guarantee you that your life is going to look a lot better. And not just that, but all of your mental issues will most likely disappear. If it doesn't, at least you tried. Stay off social media for 3 weeks. What happens? According to a study by researchers at Boston University and elsewhere, teenagers said that the pressure to get good grades were the biggest of their cause of stress. A 2018 survey by Research Center found, a lot of time I'm just so stressed in the class that I can barely focus. Why? If you're stressing, it's like stressing about going to sleep. You cannot fall asleep, not think about going to sleep. That's not how you can do this. That's not how anything works. If you're stressing out about a grade, how about you study more? How about you prepare more? Instead of stressing yourself out. Why? Why would you stress yourself out? Just study more. That was the case for Tamara Caselin in her freshman year at UCSC. She worked 40 of school and ended up changing her major, which was originally business management economics. I was way too focused on my grades and I wasn't focusing on my personal well-being, said Caselin, who is now a junior. The pandemic-era wide-scale disruption also makes it time to consider changing long-held education, said Robert Talbert, a math professor at Grand Valley State University in Michigan, who is co-writing a book about new ways of assessing students and has tried some in his own classes. Quote, everything seems to be on the table right now. Why not throw away the grading system while we're at it? Because we need to know how the students do in grades. Oh my God. How are we supposed to grade the students if we throw away the grading system? You're a college professor. You should know this. I can't with these people. Moving into the next article, we actually have a Fox News article. We actually have Kim Jong-un's diplomats get an unwanted surprise. Let's find out what the surprise is. Flowers are... Okay. Flowers declaring freedom and honoring an American victim of Kim Jong-un's barbaristic regime were placed by activists in front of the building that houses the North Korean mission, United Nations, a reminder of the honors of Kim's regime and his continued violations of human rights. Quote, dying every day in North Korea in the political prison camps. Women are being tortured in the deteners, says Sazam Skola, the chair of the North Korean Freedom Coalition, which sponsors to put human rights at the forefront. What's this gonna? Kim Jong Un is not going to care. He does not care about your stupid little protest. Like, it's very sad. It's very sad what happens in North Korea. But Kim Jong Un does not care. The tyrannical. He's a communist. He does not care what you think. Yeah, we're protesting him. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. We care, America, but he doesn't care. Like, he's the one doing it. He's gonna care about what you think. Oh, you hurt my feelings. He doesn't care. The group of North Korean escapees told their stories and gathered on the block of Manhattan 2nd Avenue on 44th Street to show their support for the victims of Kim's torture and executional policies, and especially of Otto Ramber. They understood what Otto went through because they were tortured as he was, says Scullett. All efforts to stop the brutal Kim regime will be successful in time. Otto's mother, Cindy Wamber, told Fox News she and her husband, Fred, have been on the forefront of fighting for human rights in North Korea and raising global attention on Kim's victims. Like their son, focus on the concentration camps. The truth of Kim's family is and needs to be viewed to the world one day soon, she said. Otto was a 22-year-old college student from Ohio attending the University of Virginia. He was about to leave the country after a tour of North Korea in 2016. Falsely arrested, imprisoned, and tortured. Supporters say that he was grappled for Kim's propaganda purposes solely because he was an American. Otto was put on the show trial. During his 18-month imprisonment, he was severely beaten and tortured. He was returned home able to speak and fear, suffering severe brain injuries, and died in the hospital in June 2017. He has since become an international symbol for human rights and the struggle against dictatorial regimes like North Korea's. Their willingness to fight for the justice of Otto Wamber in fighting against the brutal Kim regime, and actually their voice is adding the awareness of the reality of North Korea and the cruelty of Kim's regime, said North Korea defector Scorian Lee. She called the protests in place of flowers in the regime's doorstep a really support for Korean people. Don't forget the North Korean people who are in this 21st century under the unique, brutal dictatorship, she told Fox News. One sign declared the spot Otto Ramber Way, a reference to the proposal to name the corner after Otto as a reminder to the North Koreans of the brutality of the system that they represent. The idea has garnered the support of two New York City mayors, current Mayor Eric Adams and former Mayor Bill de Blasio, as well as current Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine, former Borough President and current West Side Council member Grill Breuer, the District of New York Assembly member Harvey Epstein, as well as multiple members of the United States Senate and Congress. But the elected who has to approve the measure, Councilman Kath Powers, has yet to sign it into. The protesters support the renaming as the symbol of suffering of their fellow citizens. They also detailed the first-hand horrors. The protesters support the renaming as a symbol of suffering of their fellow citizens. They also detailed the first-hand horror that their fellow North Koreans face every day. If you go out on the street, especially in the wintertime, you see dead bodies, the corpse, and then people think if you see it, they say, oh, it's not a surprise. Oh, today another person got death, said some man. I didn't know when I was in North Korea. There's human rights or women's or basic rights. I've never heard of those words. words. So that's why North Korea will also have to know that outside of North Korea, there's freedom. North Korean Freedom Coalition is trying to save hundreds of North Korean escapees who are being held in China and is calling the Biden administration and Congress to address supply with Beijing. The group of escapees also met with the United States to the United Nations Linda Greenfield on the issue. If they are repatriated, then they will be executed, killed, says Scarlett to North Korea, but allow them package to South Korea, she says. There's nothing to be gained by China forcing them to their death in North Korea. And I completely agree. See, it's just so upsetting. And the same exact thing is happening in China. So if you think that it's not happening in China, you're sadly mistaken. And it's not right for North Korea to be doing this to people that are about to graduate college. No. And I would never even go to North Korea for college anyway. Like, why would you even do that? That's why, if this did happen to an American citizen, yes, Joe Biden needs to speak out. The United States diplomats need to speak out, not just say, we need to do, no, you need to do something and you will do something. That's what we elected you to do. This is very important for you to do so. Moving with this article, we're going to actually end the video off here. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. If so, please like and subscribe down below. I post every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you all for watching, and have a great rest of your day. This episode and every single episode of the Demetrius Original Show is actually copyright 2023 original. Thank you all for watching, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day.